Party's not a party's a man who fights crime, and we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time with John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Bat Minutes of the Phantasm. This is the podcast where all our box socials are always boxing socially. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And I'm your other host, John Parker, here to tell you where to stick it.
You always come in with so much aggression, John. It's always like, I'm surprised we have the listenership that we still do. I'm surprised you've not scared them off, quite frankly.
I want to personally fight everyone who listens to this show.
Including the guests. So put up your dukes, you two, virtually at least. Because we have, again, returning guests from just the other day. It's Johnie Powers and Travis Bowe.
Hello there.
Hi, I am bad at spelling, but I can spell engagement.
Oh, that's one of my favourite bits ever from that bizarre robot lady.
Oh, yeah. They might as well just jump straight into it because we're here to talk about Minute 8, which opens with a insanely recognizable voice considering the material we're covering, and it ends a minute later with a millionaire's march. So as I say, we got I suppose because we know who it is, because Alfred does mention her name later, that this is Miss Bambi approaching Bruce now.
She does not suit that name.
No.
I thought Miss Bambi kind of, because it sounds kind of ditzy, and you always think of like sort of, I always think of Bambi trying to walk and been a bit sort of like klutzy and stuff. So I actually thought it kind of.
I assume she was Asian though.
Well, that's the thing. Like whatever is going on with the animation style is very like that's a take, I guess. Whatever's happening here.
Yeah.
Because within the animated series, you see like multiple Asian characters, like they has flashbacks to Bruce in Japan and stuff. And none of them
have jet black eyes.
Yeah, this is prototype what they ended up doing with the Joker. Remember when they moved to the WB, and that was a terrible redesign. Where we talked about it a couple of times, but you guys, I'm sure you're both very familiar with like when they swapped over animation styles.
Sure,
and there was some improvements. Scarecrow looked amazing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then for whatever reason they just completely redid the Joker, and it's just like, what are you thinking? Like, it looks terrible. And they kept redesigning. The only kind of in Justice League, I think, then they kind of got like, oh, that's approaching something good again. Yeah, which is annoying because he was perfect in this. Why did you change it at all? It was totally fine.
You like my contempt for the listeners. I like your contempt for that Joker.
But
I kind of like the redesigned Joker in the later. Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh,
because for some reason, when I watch something like this and Joker's about to appear, that's the version I expect to see is the redesign with the black eyes and everything. So seeing the classic Batman the Animated Series Joker in this and then in episodes that I might watch, it always takes me a second to
I actually look into it, see if there was some kind of rationale behind the eyes for the Joker, because it seems like, unless Miss Bambi also fell in some chemicals.
Yeah.
It was just, why did it turn his eyes black? Like, I guess it could, but
it's actually the Joker
in drag. I think this is just an unfortunate, like, well, she's Asian, so we want to make her eyes different.
Right. Oh boy!
And so we're gonna make it black. It's a.
I didn't want to bring that up in some
choice.
ways, but I'm glad you did, because that's what I was thinking. It's their misguided attempt to try to show that, yes, okay, she's from elsewhere, but we don't want to be too, they don't want to be too racist. So what could we do? It's like, no, that's equally as bad.
Yeah, let's say she's from elsewhere, but she's also very distinctly from like New York or something.
I meant heritage-wise.
I suppose there's no point beating about the bush though, because as soon as she opens her mouth and says the whole like, "Oh, what about the I word?" And then the I word, engagement. And the thing is too, I was like, is this the type of the level of women that Bruce attracts? But actually, no, I think that's quite unfair because everybody kind of rolls their eyes and like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with this lady?
Well, I love they actually animated Bruce literally rolling his eyes a little. It's only a little bit though. It's not over the top. That's what I liked about it.
You can play it cool for the most part, but when this level, he's just like, oh my God.
He doesn't even know what to say, does he? He's just like, ugh.
I think at this point he's just going, how did I get here? Like, I know this is my alter ego persona of like being a playboy, but like, good grief.
It's a tough price to pay.
Maybe it's like maybe this would be offensive to say, but I should have edited this out. But I only just realized, is she called Miss Bambi because it's a little bit like bimbo? Like this kind of sounds similar.
I think Bambi is just a classic ditzy name. Bambi, Buffy, Trixie, think names like that.
Dixie Goff. Yeah.
It was cool as well the way we got to the engagement line by they said how the word marriage makes Bruce nervous, and he's kind of playing it cool here. But if we go off previous movies we've covered, let's pretend it's all kind of the same universe. That's pretty much true. Like it fits what we've talked about so far. I quite like that.
Yeah.
Bruce isn't the marrying kind.
Although we had a whole thing during that Minute and Robin, where because he had so little chemistry with Julie Madison that we were actually saying it must be a business arrangement. And like the reason they had that dinner is because like, well, this is a business dinner where he's about to get out the little tax visor and get up his his calculator and be like, okay, so I owe you for this, and if you're gonna make an appearance next month, that'll be great as well. But this one is we're very much in the. Just Bruce is like, he just literally picks up women just for appearances and has no intention of ever being together with any of them. And it's kind of like multi-layered in this movie because usually, in the Batman Begins, Bruce Wayne is just like, yep, it's entirely for appearances. It's, they get what they want, I get what I need. That's just our transaction. Never have to think about these people again. But there's almost kind of another element of from seeing the heartbreak he goes through in this movie is as if Bruce is just like, I just don't want to be with any other women. Like I'm just like I have to do that for appearances, but like I don't want any emotional attachment to anybody ever again, because when they die or go missing or whatever, he didn't take it well. So
yeah.
But before we get into all that, though, I guess we should just address the elephant in the room. Of course, the voice of Miss Bambi is incredibly recognizable. I'm assuming everyone here, but I don't know if I'm going to drop any shockers on you by who's doing the voice there. But that's Arlene Sorkin, who of course is the voice and the inspiration behind the character of Harley Quinn. Legendary character. Can you believe it? Would you have guessed it?
It's funny, like as I watched this minute or watched the movie, it's like, that sounds an awful lot like, and then I go to IMDb, is it? Yeah. So I start to write down the Asian lady, because I didn't know her name was Bambi at this point, voiced by Arlene Sorkin. And then I start thinking about, I don't need to write this down. Niall's going to be all over this.
It blew my mind, though, because I know it sounds exactly like her, but I was just like, well, it's not going to be her, though, when I look at the credits. No, of course not.
No, but twice within this minute, they bring back recognizable voice actress from the show to play sort of random bit parts. Arlene Sorkin playing, Miss Bambi is kind of like, oh, that's one. But then the other one's just like, we'll get to it in a minute, but it's also that one's a bit more like, why didn't you just have her play the character she played in the show?
Right.
But no, I had to go through because we never really get to talk about Arlene Sorkin because Harley Quinn, particularly too since '80, we haven't really talked about the Joker since '89, so we never really get to bring up. Although we did bring up Harley quite a bit during Forever because we kept saying, wouldn't Dr. Chase Meridian be more interesting if she was like Batman's Harley Quinn? Where she was just trying to get into his head and all this kind of stuff. A psychiatrist villain, that kind of thing. But yeah, Arlene Sorkin, of course, hasn't played the character of Harleen Quinzel. Although, again, even there, she was so synonymous with the role. Paul Dini literally wrote the part for her. And she's named Harleen because of Arlene, So,
why did I never put that together? What?
yeah, it's all very buddy-buddy. She used to write for Tiny Toon Adventures. And that's how Paul Dini knew her. And then she was famously appeared in Days of Our Lives. It's a character I've never seen Days of Our Lives, but apparently she played a character called Calliope Jones for many, many years.
Interesting.
And then left the show, and then came back and stuff like that. So and then famously been brought up several times, probably if not on this show, then at least on other shows. There's an episode of Days of Our Lives where she appears in a dream sequence as a jester, and she's doing the Harley Quinn voice full tilt in it, and that made Paul Dini been like, "Oh, we can use that. That's a good idea for a thing." And I was always like, "Oh, so when people were like, why is the Margot Robbie Harley Quinn? Why is she pink and blue? Why not red and black? That's the Harley Quinn colors." It's like, if you look at that original clip, Arlene Sorkin's wearing pink and blue. It's a reference to that. But yeah, so it was in Days of Our Lives for ages and ages. She's apparently married to Christopher Lloyd, not that one. The guy who was like producer on Frasier and stuff like that. And then she's just around Hollywood for many years. As well as kind of jack of all trades. I mean, she did bits of writing, she did bits of stand-up. She was part of a burlesque show called The High Heeled Women. Wrote for Tiny Toon Adventures. She ended up writing. Do any of you guys know the Jennifer Aniston movie Pitch Perfect?
Oh yeah,
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that was written by Arlene Sorkin, apparently. I had no idea. I was like, that's a random one.
Now we need to do a commentary track for it.
Yeah, we should probably at least look at it. Yeah, for sure. Apparently, then her dad was a dentist, but he wanted to be a screenwriter, so she was her dad's agent.
Aw, that's really sweet.
Yeah, and she was actually heartbroken because eventually he got loads of awards for something called Something the Lord Made, which was a true story about like two doctors who ended up sort of pioneering a lot of heart surgery techniques, but it was during the segregation era, and one was black and one was white. It was Alan Rickman and Mos Def playing the parts.
What?
Yeah. But this was like after decades of Irv Sorkin trying to make it in Hollywood. He was just a dentist, and then like apparently like Arlene Sorkin's first ever gig was on And Justice for All, the Al Pacino movie. And as she was ready to go out the door, he would give her a script, go like, "Give this to Al Pacino." And she's like, "I'm not giving Al Pacino your script, Dad." And
you can't do that. No matter how much you believe in your dad, you're like, no, don't ask me to do that.
Yeah, but apparently she's saying, like, years. She'd constantly be telling people, "You have to take a meeting with my dad. He's written all these books. He's written all these scripts. He can't get anything published." And then eventually she, got something the Lord made. And it seemed more like Arlene Sorkin was more happy that he was successful with it than even he was. Because she's like, "Thank Christ, and get off my damn back now."
Yeah, it gets rid of him for a bit.
And she's just on various things over the years. She's in Trading Places for a minute. She's in Oscar, the Sylvester Stallone comedy that nearly killed his career back in the 90s. And,
you know what? Believe it or not, that's actually one of the only movies of his I've never seen.
Well, there's another commentary track we can do, John. Yeah. She's in, this is one I know of being famous in America, but she's in It's Pat, which is an SNL spin-off movie, which is probably aged horribly now, considering
I'm sure.
Yeah, I found out about that recently. Because SNL it's not a thing here. Like, it's never been a thing. You get the occasional movie that comes over, like Wayne's World was from that, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah.
But most of the movies don't make a splash, so I'd never seen that. But when I found out about it, I was like, okay, I think in this day and age, you wouldn't get away with it because a lot of the jokes seem to revolve around like, "Oh, we don't know what gender they are."
Yeah, right. That's it. Yeah, that's
the joke.
That's the whole concept right there.
Yep.
But yeah, she went on. She Arlene invented. Well, that's the thing. One of her big controversies was that she was the host of America's Funniest People, and this is a kind of really bizarre story where. She was doing that quite successfully for a while, and then she got let go because she heard from the producers that they wanted to have a person of color hosting instead to kind of broaden their, the demographics and stuff like that.
Fair enough, yeah.
And so she attempted to sue them.
Oh.
Because she was fired over racism, basically. Oh. She's saying I was discriminated against due to the color of my skin, which is weird for a white lady to come out and say that.
That doesn't fly. That doesn't fly.
Yeah.
I could understand being upset that you're losing your job, but to take it that angle's a bit. Don't do that.
But I think even more, I guess, more of a right to be upset because, like, after all the debacle, they ended up hiring a woman called Tawny Katane to take over, and she's just a white lady.
Okay. At least stick to your plan.
Yeah. So I was like, well, what the hell am I even? Just give the job back to me then. What are you doing? But then after that, she ended up co-creating a sitcom starring Leah Remini and Jonathan Banks called Fired Up, which was about the tagline was first she got fired, then she got fired up.
Oh, great.
God.
And then it was about a lady who got fired and her friend got fired, and they started a business together. It only lasted 2 seasons or whatever. But you see, like Harley Sorkin, just been. So you see her interviewed. She's a great lady, and then basically was her Harley Quinn is basically her as that clown, completely injected with Judy Holliday from back, Born Yesterday, like all these old great. If anyone is unfamiliar with Judy Holliday, sorry. Amazing actress. Only had a very short career back in like the 40s and 50s, but maybe into the 60s. But she just sounded like Harley Quinn, and she had that kind of she's kind of crazy, ditzy, klutz lady, but she's also incredibly funny, and she always gets in scrapes and all this kind of stuff. And one of her big movies was Born Yesterday, where she was the Moll to a powerful gangster, and she ends up getting educated in kind of Eliza Doolittle fashion. Falls in with the guy who's been hired to tutor her and all this kind of stuff. It's a fantastic movie, but yeah. So those two things combined created the character of Harley Quinn, which then Arnie's not done the character now in like over 10 years at this point. She retired in 2012, and I think now it's like there is this thing with Tara Strong. It's a bit like that's my character now. It's I've done her more. Like, you originated it, but it's kind of like my part, basically.
Well, that's going back to Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it's the same deal. That's the point then when Tara Strong's been very vocally, like, they made that Harley Quinn TV show, and then they hired the wrong person for it. Like, that's my part. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm right here, guys. I'll do it. Like, I won't say no to you. But yeah. So that is Bambi. No excuse for the engagements kerfuffle there, but
No, I love it though, because it tells you everything you need to know about this character, I think.
Yeah.
For better or worse, yeah, she is as you said, Niall, a bimbo, which is fine because Bruce is pretending to be a himbo,
Maybe that's why she's so attracted to him. It's like,
yeah,
it's like we see, imbos have to mate, so they mate for life. So
makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. But that's even the thing, though, because what's our entire perception of what's happening here? Because, like, if you can't get him married, but couldn't we at least get engaged? As if, like, well, I'll still get, if we get engaged and we break up, I'll still get something out of you, right? Like,
maybe rich people, even when you're only engaged, do you sign a prenup?
Yeah.
I wonder if there
it's
is
a
a
prenup.
legally binding document for that.
Yeah. But yeah, of course, then in the middle of all this, a fourth woman enters the fray. And she's not as big a fan of Bruce Wayne, unfortunately, because they got history.
And you can tell that she is a much. I don't want to be mean to the other people, but she's a class above, isn't she?
Yeah, she's not to be messed with.
No.
Well, that's the thing, because she has a whole big outpouring about, like, oh, he'll woo you, he'll make you think like you're the only person he'll ever think about. And then when you're just getting ready to register the China, he forgets your phone number. And she does the classic throwing the drink in the face, which is, the one thing I ever wanted to be a woman for is like, I would love to throw drinks in people's faces. Like, as a man, I could do it, but like, I just get like punched in the teeth.
You know what? Normally, I'd be dead against this because I'm just thinking it's a waste. You're wasting wine. Why would you do that? But it's also in this scenario, right? It's from Bruce. It's probably free.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, totally, yeah. Although we never really discussed it, it's a weird color of wine. I'm assuming it is.
Oh
wine.
yeah,
it's like a rosé or
wine
something.
punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Bruce has specifically chosen wine? It's like, I know it doesn't stain, because I know this is going to happen. So,
Yep.
Do you know what
he spent 10,000 hours testing every liquiid, getting splashed
would.
in his eyes to see what the effects are. Yeah.
yeah,
He would
This is
for
like-
sure.
He's got Alfred out back, like pumping a little water into each vat of wine. So he's like, "Oh, just make sure they don't. It's more for your sake, Alfred. You're the one who's going to have to wash
Yeah.
the shirt." So
Well, that's
Well,
the thing.
How
when
many
it does-
cases should they open, Niall? What, say 6?
six is good. Yeah,
6 is good.
Yeah.
I love the absolute audacity that you're going to walk into this man's party, get a drink that is free on this man, walk up to him, and then throw that drink in his face in front of attractive women that he's probably trying to get with. That's like peak.
I think what I love
That's
about it too
amazing.
is the implication would be, because she specifically mentions that, like, oh, he forgot my phone number. It's probably an invite-only party, so she probably got invited to the party by mistake.
He forgot that he invited.
And she's like, I can't fucking believe this asshole is inviting me to a party. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna throw a drink in his damn face and tell him to go fuck himself.
No, it's Alfred. Alfred's the pot stirrer. He's like,
Yep,
oh, this will
yep.
be fun. I want to see this happen. Like, let's invite these women. This is cool.
Yeah. It's so grim around here, I
Yeah.
need to liven things up a bit.
I did think her dialogue was going to take a different turn, but then I remembered, this is sort of for kids. So, I thought she was essentially he wines you, dines you, 60.
Yep.
But then
I say, like, we
bam.
could get away with putting what this was the thing we kind of alluded to last minute. Like the amount of wine on display, and this is insane. And it's just like, yeah, we got license now to, like, I think it's in the commentary for the Harlequinade episode. Bruce Timm talks about, like, yeah, we have a scene here set at a casino, and the censors came back to us like, you can't have anyone drinking. And he's like, but it's a casino. He's like, yeah, no visible glasses or any bottles. And so they had to go, all right, just
Well,
take
I
it out
reckon
because
that's why the wine's a weird colour. That's my theory.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I'm thinking more of it. I'm thinking more like, because they get away with blood and teeth getting kicked out and stuff in this. I think I'm like, just get as much wine as you can on screen. And then they're like, was he a red or a white man? Oh, damn it, we didn't think it through. Rosé, it makes everybody happy, right?
That'll do. I love the idea as well of Bruce. Oh, did he even break up with her, or did he literally just not speak to her again? Did he ghost
ghosted her.
That's really bad. I at the very least, he should be like, dear baby, welcome to Dumpsville, population you.
Or have Alfred send her like a letter or card or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, he'd get Alfred to do it. You're right. Oh.
Yeah.
Go through all the Homer excuses. I'm not gay, but I'll learn.
Oh, but Bruce just seems like a ghoster. Like, canonically in life, he seems like a ghoster. So
It's bad enough ghosting someone at the best of times, but the way she tells it, they were in a full-on relationship.
Right.
but were they?
Right.
Were they, or did she just think that?
Was it she was like one of these women who was just like, oh yeah, we're 100% in, or she maybe like an Arthur Reeves, just like, oh, this is totally all right, isn't it? Like, I don't know you. I don't even know your last name.
Good point.
Yeah.
If you watch the animated series, this character is clearly Veronica Vreeland. Yeah. She's voiced by the same actress, Mary Lou Henner.
Yeah.
And I just assume, in this movie that this is Veronica. And so if you kind of know the character a little bit, that these two have history. They swim in the same ocean, as it, or whatever. They're in the same social circles. So I can buy that the two of them have been on several dates, and obviously he's kept it just semi-casual, but maybe she's gotten more out of it than he has, or whatever.
No, that is an excellent point, because this Bruce clearly is like saying how, he doesn't really want that at all. So why would it get to the stage, in her words, where they're what was it about the China? They're basically they're going to get married, is what she's saying.
Yeah.
I couldn't see this Bruce letting it get there.
Well, that's why that's how you get the ghosting.
I was also taken aback though of, like, if you know Bruce Wayne and him and his fiance are registering for China. It's like, he's the richest man and he's one of Gotham's wealthiest entrepreneurs. Like, I'm having to buy him a wedding gift. No way.
What do you buy someone this rich as a wedding gift? Do you just get something as a gesture?
Yeah, because you know that any China that's getting registered isn't going to be cheap. Like, it's going to be swanky-ass crap. So it's like, well, Bruce, you can buy that, can't you? Like, why am I having to buy it for you? But that's what we brought up there, Travis. It is bizarre that this isn't Veronica Vreeland. I don't know, maybe they were like, well, we're going to do something. We want to be able to play it loose with Veronica, and indicating that they were engaged, basically. We don't want to tie that down or something. They're just like, but yeah, because Veronica Vreeland, also red hair, also voiced by Mary Lou Henner, who we talked about a lot, John. Remember back in she's in Johnny Dangerously. She hooks up with, she's Michael Keaton's Maul in that, or romantic interest at least. I remember because we distinctly talked about her. If anyone doesn't remember Mary Lou Henner, of course, Elaine from Taxi. Which starred Danny DeVito. Everything's connected, and I know we talked about at some point. She has a weird memory thing where she remembers literally everything. Like, if you talk to her, I think it's called HSA. They've only found like 100 people who have it, and it's basically if you say to her like April 13th, 1981, she can go to you. I was in Morocco. It was a sunny night. I had this for dinner. All this. She just remembers everything. Exactly.
Yeah.
I reckon that would be great at first, but it would feel like a curse after a while.
Yeah, totally. There's some things you just want, like, particularly if you're like Batman. There's some things I just wish I could forget. But but yeah, so it is bizarre that it's not Veronica. But also, I thought that there was a kind of a darker thing to it, in my opinion, where it was like, well, who else does she look like? This lady. She looks a lot like Andrea Beaumont, like the same hair color. It kind of feels like, was this a power play by Bruce of like, yeah, I dated this woman and I got engaged to her, then I dumped her. Yeah, that's right. How do you like it, Andrea? Even though you don't know about this, but like it feels like as if he's exercising the demons within. He's like, yeah, occasionally I'll hook up with people. If they don't look like Andrea, I'll pull a Vertigo and I'll make them look like Andrea.
I hate this because this actually like came up in my personal life recently of somebody who couldn't get the person that they wanted, so they dated or are with someone who looks really similar.
Oh
wow.
And it's like, what's happening? How is this reality?
It's a bit odd. Yeah, you'd feel wrong doing that.
You wouldn't think people do that in real life. It's just like Bruce Wayne doing this to Andy, but no, it happens in real life. It's very weird.
Maybe they're not aware they're doing it.
Yeah.
It's like a subconscious, this is my type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, like in that episode of Friends where Rachel starts dating this guy, Russ, and it's just David Schwimmer with like a mustache. There's nobody else seen this. This is crazy.
I forgot about that.
But I thought that was a very sinister kind of little undercurrent of like, yeah, Bruce, maybe he did string this lady along, thinking like, or maybe I've been very cynical. It's like maybe he genuinely was like, oh yeah, I really love her, and then he realized, oh, she reminds me of Andrea. That's what's happened. I have to cut this off. Or it could be that it was just like, to me, every criminal is Joe Chill. And every woman is Andrea Beaumont. And I just treat them all the same now.
Yeah.
I'll admit, the first time I was watching it, because, again, listeners, if you're just joining us, I had not watched this before. So I thought initially, oh, that is Andrea. I just assumed, are you supposed to think that because you didn't see a face on the plane?
Yeah. They pulled the full-on Dr. Claw with Andrea. Next time, Bruce.
Be an interesting route to take with the two of them being reunited at this party, and she's very angry at him. That would be an interesting way to bring her back into the movie.
It would kind of make a big, like, go along with her alibi thing as well.
Yeah.
Just be like, oh, I want people to know I'm having a big spat with Bruce Wayne, so everyone knows, like, oh, it was Wayne Manor that night, and all that business. Yeah. So,
of course, then she'd walk right past Arthur, and then have the whole next scene with Arthur and Bruce.
That would be weird then. It would just be there. Andrea's like, oh, is it Arthur? Oh, yeah, I don't really register that guy.
Right.
Oh, that tracks. But yeah, then the classic wine in the face routine. Has anyone ever thrown Like, are we in the room with anyone here who's throwing
I had
wine?
that note too, like that question. Like,
I've thrown a cup of water on someone because they threw one on me.
Ah.
It was a friend as well, but we ended up having a bit of a fight.
Like you just as you were getting ready to register the China as well, John. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
no, I've never received a glass of anything to the face. You know,
Maybe I should be going for that. Like I don't know if I'll ever be able to want to throw the glass, but maybe I should start being more of a cad, so people throw drinks in my face.
I like the way you worded it very politely as well. I'll be a cad.
How about you, Johnny? Have you ever hurled a drink at anyone?
No, and now I wish I had, because this literally looks so empowering.
Hey, you're young. You know, you're the Movies by Minutes youth correspondent. You can still get there.
At the same time, as empowering as it clearly, is to her, in some ways I'm a bit disappointed with the outcome, that it doesn't stain anything.
I know.
I keep thinking that too. Every time you see it dripping down, it's like that shirt must be 100% polyester because it's just running right off of his clothes.
Yeah, you'd think you'd hear like the tray clattering in the background, and Alfred just seeing like, "Oh God!" Like, no,
Not the wine.
And
Yeah.
and even when he bumps into Arthur there and gets a handkerchief off him, and he's dabbing himself with a white hanky, that doesn't get stained either.
Although it's friggin', Arthur Eve's white hanky, so like, yeah, take it. It was kind of a double-edged sword of like, I'll stain his hanky with the wine, but also it's hard. This could be encrusted with snot or anything. Like, I don't know if I would trust Kevin. I'd be like, no, I'll find my own Arthur. It's fine.
Thanks anyway.
Yeah, I did. I thought there's no way you're going to be able to find this out, but I did look in to see, like, is there any history of, like, the first instance of someone having wine thrown in their face in a movie? I think I did find it because it's quite famous. I think it's from the 1927 film Wings, which was the first ever Best Picture winner. Back in the first Academy Awards, way back 1928, I guess it would have been. Nothing to do.
Is that the movie with the very famous long tracking shot through the party?
That's exactly it, and it's in that tracking shot where it happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's because it's famous. It was most recently reference to the Last Jedi when they go to Canto Bight. The big shot, the tracking shot along through the casino is referencing Wings. Not the Tim Daly sitcom, of course, in the 1980s. Of course, Tim Daly would go on to be Superman against Dana Delaney's Lois Lane. Everything's connected. But, yeah, it was a Clara Bow movie about two guys from different social classes who end up going to war. And they both become pilots, and therefore it's called Wings. But they're very famous. And it's still, to this day, it's like, oh, that is a great shot, where it's like a long row of tables in like a bar, and the camera just goes over every table. And people on each side doing a little thing. And it just goes past all of them up until this one guy sitting at the end. And, for 1927, it's like, how the hell did they do that? Like, they wouldn't have had barely functional cameras. And they're like, oh, we just put a rig together and did that. And it was the first time someone thought to do that and stuff.
Ingenuity.
But in the middle of that, you see, like, people canoodling and stuff. And then there is one woman throwing a drink in a guy's face and storming off. And they're like, it's 1927. Unless there was a bunch of this happening, like in the 10 years prior, that might well be the first instance of it happening on film. So there we go.
So we'll have to do a commentary track about that movie too.
I was considering watching it, and then I saw it's like 2 hours. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. So like,
oh God.
You watched Wakanda Forever. That was the same length.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was just like, I thought all of like all silent movies were like 70 minutes. It's like no. Like Metropolis is like 3 hours long. Like,
yeah, they didn't give a damn back then.
I was like, well, you pay your nickel to see this thing. Might as well stay for the day, I guess.
You get your money's worth.
Yeah. Although speaking of ghosting, so I'm trying to bring up some recurring questions, and it's a very sort of ham-fisted way of trying to get into that.
Are you going to ask if you've ever ghosted
Nice segue.
anyone?
I like where this.
No. It's because we asked in the previous week about like because the Phantasm is such a ghostly character, and I'm genuinely curious because I always wanted to know about. Has anyone got any ghost stories and stuff? Have you ever come across something like supernatural in your life that you're like, oh, that was. That made me believe in an afterlife or anything like that, or well, I think we had a phrase we wanted to put it in last week, John. Was it like, would you rather have a piece of toast or see a ghost or something? I think it was
I'll take the toast, please. I'll go. I'll just take this one real quick because it's going to be very short. I've never had any supernatural experiences. I don't believe in ghosts or souls or spirits or things like that. So, Johnny?
I'm the exact opposite. I'll take the ghost.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, I have. When I was really little, my family would tell me I'd see them and talk to them all the time. I did see my grandpa after he died.
Oh.
In my grandma's house and hear him playing with his radio and stuff like that.
That's kind of a nice encounter.
Which is weird. But I do believe in spirits and ghosts and stuff. And I love like the ghost hunters and like going to creepy places. And hopefully I'll get up to the penitentiary in Pennsylvania to check that out. So yeah, I like that stuff. I'm not necessarily like super freaked out by it. I just think it's super interesting.
Yeah, totally.
I have the weird thing of finding it really interesting, even though I've never had an experience, so I can't say I believe in it until it happens. You know, you're not sure, right? But I find it fascinating anyway, which is an odd place to be. It's like in the middle.
Yeah. I'm always in the one like I want it all to be true. I want to encounter something, except where I'm in the house by myself, and I was like, but not right now, okay? Like I don't think some other time when there's other people around, then I can go like, hey, come up and see this. You know?
Yeah, that'll be fine. I'm into that.
Yeah, but I was worried of bringing up this question because I thought every week is going to be somebody going, no. So thank you, Johnny, for actually having something to contribute to it. Like, that's actually great. It might pay off in the long run, yeah.
I was going to say, if everybody said no, you'd just edit the entire segment out.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's funny because you said those questions over and I laughed because I was like, oh, I'm probably going to be the one. I'm going to be the one who mentions ghosts. It's fine.
Yeah, but you have proper, like, you really remember this as well, like this is you okay. Well, that's amazing.
It was literally in middle school. So because it was like probably like 3 to 6 months after my grandpa died.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, there's a great line in the minute here. I thought it's when Arthur says to Bruce, he's like,
It has the a friend in need.
Friend in need.
Yeah. Slimes his way over. He's just so oily. Like they do such a great job with him. He's so hateful.
Oh, here we go. I found my notes again. I closed it by mistake. There's a great bit, I think, when they're talking and Bruce says to him, how goes the bat bashing? And the response, better than your love life. I said, oh, sick burn.
That must be like rough for Bruce too, because he's like, all right, I'll get a bit of dignity back by taking down this asshole, and then like, oh no, he got a good burn in, damn it.
And to be fair to Arthur, he might be a piece of crap, but that was a good comeback.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But then I'm also like,
such a creep.
Yeah, but his love life is shit too.
Well, he's not saying it isn't, but
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I actually looked up. It's an interview with Hart Bochner. Apparently, he was. It was really frustrating because they were saying like, oh, because he's obviously still most famous for playing Ellis in Die Hard, and they're like, yeah, you got Maxim Magazine's second greatest greaseball in all of cinema.
Oh wow!
And the annoying thing was like they didn't. He's like, yeah, I was really honored by that. Yeah, I was annoyed I didn't get number one.
Yeah.
And then I was annoyed that in that interview, they didn't tell you who number one was.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I had to go look it up. And it took a while, too. It wasn't like Maxim Magazine. It didn't have like an online, like, oh, we keep that, they just, well, we do stupid lists. Yeah, we do stupid lists every month. We keep track of them.
Maxim Wiki.
Eventually found out it was Paul Reiser from Aliens.
Okay, yeah. Good choice.
Huh.
I guess.
More than Ellis? I don't know.
Well,
Ellis is like the yuppie character. Like it's him. It's Dickless from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Walter Peck.
Yeah.
I suppose him though in Aliens is like his actions are deliberately harming people, whereas Ellis is just like, well, as long as I'm okay, like it's indirectly harming people.
Yeah, he doesn't. Ellis doesn't really. Yeah, he's just too sort of self-involved to consider things.
Yeah.
Whereas Paul Reiser's more like, I am deliberately, going to put you in harm's for the good of the company and my own career and stuff. Like, yeah.
I'm assuming that's why they picked him, but I don't know. I haven't read it. Now you have to find this article for me.
Yeah, we'll have to get into it, but. Yeah, it was just. I think maybe even the casting of Hart Bochner it's a little like intertextual in terms of like Arthur Reeves he knows fine rightly. Oh, they were hooked up. Bruce Wayne was Andrea Beaumont's fiance, however brief that was, but they were a hot and heavy romance back in the day. Now I'm winging my way in here. I want to show it off and stuff. And there was always that thing in Die Hard where it was a bit like, is he putting the moves on Holly? Is he like our hero John McClane's love interest has now sort of been potentially canoodled by a rival suitor, and you don't know if he needs to be worried about it or not. And it really feels like they're trying to like, oh, we're going for that energy. Just get that guy. Just bring him in and do it flat out, But,
it's perfect casting because, he does share that same quality of where you think, in Ellis's mind, he and Holly have already started a relationship, by the time he meets John and then the party and everything. And same here with Arthur. Like in his mind, those two grew up around each other, in their 20s, him working for her father and everything. So in his mind, they've had a relationship, like Johnny said earlier, Monday, I think, he's been laying the groundwork essentially for this relationship that he thinks is already, at a certain stage.
Yeah. That's I love the fact though that he's just so petty. Like he's just in like I just want to get a little date. Bruce probably doesn't even know. He's unaware that she's going to be back in. It's the layers of stuff he's doing. It's like, oh, who was that lady?
What was her name?
Yeah, I was just talking to her on the phone because I know she's coming to town, and I'm really hoping you bump into each other because that's going to be really uncomfortable for you. And like, it's also what's he got against? Why does he hate Bruce Wayne so much? It's so passive aggressive and stuff. It's just
because Bruce is wealthy,
jealousy,
and he had to work his way up in the slimiest way possible. So Bruce got it handed to him, and he had to like break some knuckles to get to where he is.
Yeah. You could sympathize with the first part of that, like, oh, Bruce was handed everything, and you're like, okay, yeah, he was. Okay, yeah, he had hardships and things of, family variety, shall we say. But financially, business, all this kind of stuff, it was handed to him. But then you've achieved it, Arthur, by being a scumbag. So,
So I had to go out of my way to sell out a family who employed me for years and knowingly get them killed by some people.
Maybe that's it, though. Maybe it's like it's making him feel worse about the things he's done.
Could be. That's also too like we don't know how much that's Arthur knows because he's like, oh yeah, I sent those. I guess maybe they just paid the Valestras. He's like, that must have been that worked out okay. Andrea Beaumont's getting back in touch. I guess she's alive, so I'm assuming her dad's still going. Oh, I'm fine. They must have just gone. I'm sure that those gangsters were very reasonable about everything. So.
They must have worked something out.
Yeah. I love too the contempt that Alfred has for him. Because he comes over and before Arthur even starts doing the whole like, was it Andy? Just the sight of him, Alfred has to kind of like, ugh, like this
like
guy.
the protective dad. He's like, oh.
Yeah. See, I think there's a missed opportunity here. I think there would be a funny Alfred comedic beat here if Alfred was the one to say Andrea Beaumont was her name, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Just for the cutaway shot of Bruce then glaring at Alfred,
Yeah.
Because Alfred loved to just poke at Bruce. I mean, this probably wouldn't be appropriate to bring up an old flame, but or I wish there was something from Alfred here other than just a dirty look to.
He does get a button in the novelization where after Bruce stuffs the thing back in Arthur's pocket and storms off, Alfred's like, "You may wish to refresh yourself, sir. Your pocket appears to be in disarray." It's kind of minor thing. It's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I wish, I guess, like off the back of that, Travis, like I wish there were more like Alfred moments. In this, because honestly, Alfred's one of my favorite characters of all time.
Yeah.
Just in general,
he's great in this show and movie. Yeah,
he gets he does get some great because like we had it just last week the whole like adaptogenic, of course, of course. And on the other side of it, he gets a fantastic scene at the end where he actually gets to have a heart to heart with Bruce and stuff. I was like, oh, this is it. This is what it's supposed to be and stuff. But
I think in doing this show, it's elevated him in my eyes as well. I love every scene we get anything of him. Bruce's entire sort of scheme gets rumbled here as well because it gets said to him, it's almost as if you pick them, the women, because there's no chance of a serious relationship. Yeah, it's like, oh, God damn it, that's his entire thing.
Hit the nail on the head there, Arthur.
It's just so another movie that could have been like, is he actually on the me being Batman or something? It's like
that's him drawing the red smile on Joker in the photo later. Like, oh my God, I figured it out. Bruce Wayne is Batman because he keeps all these.
Instead of a red smile, it's like red wine on his face. Like, oh.
Piss poor relationships must be Batman.
That's all it takes. Hang on a minute, am I Batman?
Well, I'll say that I have to really point out an element I loved in the animation though is the close up on Bruce as he's wiping his face. And Artie says that, and he has, you can see this go from utter contempt and rage because he knows he's tearing up an old wound, and Bruce knows that he knows whose name that was. He knows he's just been like, oh, who was that? Yeah. But also he then puts on this smirk as well, as if it's kind of like polite society, but also like, well played, asshole. Like there's a range of emotions going through it, and this is like, it's very well done for animation. They're conveying it, immensely well, I think.
That's one of my favorite things in this movie is actually, the emotions come across, which sometimes in animation it doesn't. So they have to have extra ridiculous dialogue.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of what I meant earlier yesterday when I said the thing about the blonde having the very like distinctive hair. Yeah, like certain characters they just animate differently in this movie to give them a lot more expression. So I'm sure that's just the movie budget.
Yeah. Although some elements of the animation is like you see in some of the background, the cardboard cutouts. Like I'm enjoying it, but just seeing
it's great
behind Bruce in that shot is like a thick mama, like because and she's sassily standing with one hand on the hip. And this guy looks like I wonder what the hell their conversation is, because it looks like she's giving him a dressing down, and he's just like, oh Christ, like I don't know what to say to this lady. So.
Well, we had to cardboard cutout budget the party so that we could do the Future of Gotham Epcot ride.
Yeah,
so we had to, which was more important budget wise.
There are actual several paintings around as well. Like when he was talking to Bambi and the Veronica Lake and stuff, there was a painting of like 3 angels in the background.
Yeah, I thought they were ballerinas. It's a weird, bad art.
Yeah, I don't know if it's supposed to be like. Although you wouldn't think Bruce Wayne would want tacky art in his house. I guess he'd be like, no, I want to look like I'm sophisticated at least. But.
I mean, there's W's all over the room too, so there's some tacky art here.
Well, to be fair, that's the party theme is it's Wednesday, so it's a Wednesday W. Yeah, it's Wednesday
random
party.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Get the Wednesday rug out and get the Wednesday.
Alfred, get the tea out.
Yeah.
Well, I like to think of. Maybe it's tacky because it's out of date because his parents chose everything and he can't bring his heart to like change anything.
Yeah,
because of like nostalgia and love.
Wasn't that in like Batman Begins? He talks about like the house is basically a mausoleum. It's just like, well, it's just that's my father. Annoyingly, in Batman Begins, he keeps saying it's my father's house. It's like, 2 parents, man. What the hell?
Yeah, think about your mother.
But yeah. Sorry, John, were you? I felt like I interrupted you there.
No, that was it. Me, I'm aggressive today. And that's
I was talking to Johnny. Not
I thought you said John. The names are too similar.
I know. We're the same.
God damn it.
There was one point I was considering like putting together the guest list. I was like, could we do Johnie Powers and Jonathan Howell together? Just get John, Jonathan, and Johnny.
No,
see what happens.
It's too
the
hard already.
Trifecta right there.
Oh, but
it's just called the episode Too Many J's, and it's just like a thumbnail of me going, "Whoa."
No, it seems to be a theme that Travis and I are on together for this. So we are duoed here.
Yeah. Hey, if it ain't broke, So.
That's when we do get the aggressive line I said at the start, though, because Arthur, he wants to know how and why Bruce would have let her go. And Bruce just says, thanks for the handkerchief. You know where you can stick it. It's like, whoa, that took a turn.
Yeah, behind his pillow? I guess that's where. Yeah.
I just thought it's like now he's not even... before that, it was like subtle verbal jousting, and this is basically just him coming out and calling him a jerk to his face.
Yeah.
Again, too, because he knows that Arthur Reeve knows that Andrea Beaumont dumped him. It's just it's really just trying to coax him into even more of a humiliating situation. It's like, I've already had freaking wine thrown in my face, man. You're like, what? Why kick a man when he's down? But I guess that's exactly what Arthur Reeves does. He's the type of man who kicks somebody when they're down.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Bruce then just marches off to do some classic Bruce Wayne moping, which is just but that is his want. The thing really knows him this week. We've had a good run of the minute always ends when a scene ends, because we had last week I think we had Batman squinting, cut to a new thing, and that was the exact minute change, and then it was just like. This one now is like, yep, the scene's literally a split second from now. It's gonna change to the next scene as well. So.
They planned ahead for podcasters.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm all noted out.
Same.
Beyond that, any other stuff about Mary Lou Henner? No, nothing.
I'm good.
Nothing drastically we needed to know or anything. So, but you guys, have you got anything else you want to bring up?
I'm good.
No, noted out. So we will head off into the dark, dark night. As we decided last season, we're not going to do all plugs and stuff on the Wednesday episode. We'll do it again on Friday. Who cares? You know where to find us. So do join us again on Friday. We're going to be back with a minute. Can you guess what minute it's going to be? It's going to be 9. 9 generally follows 8, and we're following that format. We're not jumping around. Maybe we should jump around now or put it random. That'd be good.
I think there is a show in that of people doing something minute by minute that they've never seen before, and then just watching episodes out of order. But it could either be genius or the most frustrating thing in the universe.
I think the latter, probably. Yeah. But no, we will be doing it in sequence. So do come back again on Friday. Batmites.
Next time. Seeking sanctuary from assorted councilmen and socialites, Bruce retires to the drawing room for a moment of respite. The mention of a mysterious moniker makes our melancholy millionaire's memories rewind. So take us away, Bruce. We don't mind. But you better promise us we'll be back in time. We'll be right here, right then. On Friday, folks. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Must have top, stiff it,